programs and communities of House of Europe graduates. House of Europe is a program funded by European Union, and it was created with the aim to support professional and creative exchange between Ukrainians and their colleagues in the countries of European Union. We have 6 sectors. Our biggest sector is culture and creative industries. Today I'm going to moderate the guest of our special program, and I would like to give the floor to the head of House of Europe program, Christian Dimer. Christian.
Hello everyone, I'm very glad to be here. Actually 1 year ago I was already here. Back then that was on a physical stage, and House of Europe was just 1 month old. Meanwhile I've grown a beard, and we have been active for a little more than 1 year. And some of you may know us in the meantime, but nevertheless, let me start with the question, what is House of Europe? What are we doing? So the House of Europe in which I'm sitting now is near Lavra. If I look out of my window, I see Mistecki Arsenal, Creative Europe is not far. And this House of Europe is currently closed for the public. That's actually the building of the new Goethe Institute here in Lavrska Street. And well, luckily, House of Europe is so much more than just a house. Actually, it's an EU-funded program that is led by the Goethe Institute in Ukraine. That's why I'm sitting in Goethe Institute, together in a consortium with the British Council, the Institut Français, and the Czech Center. And if you want, so those 4 cultural institutes are the 4 brave from the OINIC cluster of national cultural institutes that are active here in Ukraine. And let me tell you a little bit about the structure, because all those 4 consortium partners actually are cultural institutes. However, the House of Europe is working with culture and creative industries. That is by far the biggest sector that we have. But we're working with 5 more sectors: education, social entrepreneurship, health, media, and youth. That is people working with youth and also young people themselves. And what's the common denominator here? What's the red line? Well, all those sectors are considered by the European Union to be sectors in which important reform processes are ongoing in Ukraine, and that deserve attention and support and exchange with professionals and experts from the EU. And this is what we're doing. There is another way actually to look at our program. We always like to show the both perspectives at this portfolio of our different activities. So this is not disaggregate. This is the same activities that you saw on the previous screen, but now not disaggregated per sector, but per actually what you can get from us. And here we basically have 2 modi in which we're working. One is you have an idea and you approach us by submitting an application in an open call. Your idea is evaluated by a jury, and if it's a great one, it's getting selected, and then House of Europe provides funding. And that could be different types of ideas, and it could be different people or organizations applying. For example, we have translation grants in which we support the translation from books in both directions, from EU languages into Ukrainian and the other way around. Or we have international cooperation grants where EU organizations can apply together with Ukrainian organizations, cultural organizations, for big cultural cooperation or co-production projects. And then there is another modus where we have an idea. We think that some content is relevant to the professionals in the sectors that we are working with, and we are curating a program, a capacity building event, a study tour, for example. We are selecting the experts that we want to bring you in touch with, etc. We design the entire activity by ourselves. And here you see it on the screen. We have study tours. A few words on what became out of this after the pandemic will follow later on. And there is a whole range of other program lines. Maybe I will mention here Creative Enterprise Ukraine, because later, after my speech, you will see an alumni, or actually two alumni of this program line, or the Creative Business Academy and the Creative Business Cup, which you will see presented tomorrow. Tomorrow we'll have a marathon of opportunities where you get a lot more detailed information on all the different program lines that we are offering, and not just we. So that's a few words to start with on the structure and what we're doing. And I mean, to sum it up, you see that it's big. There is a lot of program lines that we have in this bouquet, but they all have one thing in common. They are, in one way or the other, about bringing professionals from Ukraine in touch with their colleagues in the European Union so that they can exchange, learn from each other, exchange viewpoints, and more than that, also start doing things together. Another important thing that House of Europe is providing is information, because actually there are a lot of opportunities available to Ukrainian professionals, not just ours. There's a lot more, and the EU is offering a lot more except for House of Europe. And yet there is a lack of information, and the more you leave Kyiv and the more you go into the regions, the bigger this lack of information and visibility gets. And that's why House of Europe is using the program also to provide information on not just on the own opportunities, but also on others. Again, I will share my screen to show you a screenshot of our website. So this is what we call the Catalogue of Opportunities. This is on our website, www.houseofeurope.org.ua. And if you go to the section Możliwości, you will see curated content, curated information on opportunities, curated by us, by the House of Europe team. You can see those opportunities that are actually our own. They're marked by this little House of Europe sticker. The others are provided by other organizations. You can also filter those opportunities according to the sector, the type of the support that you want to have, and the organizer that is actually behind the provider of those opportunities. And then if you open those little single opportunity cards, as we call them, if you click on those cubes, you will get an easy to understand information, an abstract of what the opportunity is all about. And then I mentioned it, we are situated in Kyiv, but we want to reach beyond Kyiv, because we see that the need for what we're doing is growing the more we get to the periphery of the country. And we have two different program lines dedicated for the regions. The one is the pop-up hub. So here the idea is that the House of Europe pops up in a different place, in a different house, in the house of an already existing, already active cultural organization, creative hub, and we inhabit it for a limited period of time and welcome people, give them advice on how to apply for opportunities, spread information, and give them a nice space. This has already happened once in Rivne in conjunction with the House of Europe Festival that is dedicated for creative industries. So we had a lot of nice speakers there in Rivne, and the resonance was heartwarming because people really felt how valuable it is that there is a direct connection between experts from the EU and experts and appliers in Ukraine, and not just in Kyiv, but in that case, in Rivne. Obviously, in that case, the connection was online, but it worked out really nicely. And we are already working on the next pop-up House of Europe, which will take place in Dnipro in the first half of the upcoming year. There is a second dedicated program line for the regions of Ukraine, and that's the mobile pavilion. So here we are thinking of the regions that don't even have an infrastructure that we could hijack. And we decided that we will build our own transportable infrastructure. We will build a transportable House of Europe, the mobile pavilion. And this is how it could look. So it's a very flexible, modular structure that has been developed by a team of Ukrainian architects and designers around Ivan Protasov. And you can see that it offers a lot of outdoor space, and it can be adjusted to the situation that we will find in the towns that we will visit. Here is another visualization, and we will launch an open call to select those cities that actually may host us in the next year in spring. So stay tuned for that. So much for our regional activities. Now let's talk about COVID. So House of Europe is a people-to-people program. The idea is to bring humans in contact with each other beyond borders. And that's a very bad idea for COVID times, as we all know. So obviously, all our international mobilities, all our international cooperation activities have been affected by COVID. And at the same time, the size of our program, we have a budget of more than 12 million euros, allowed us to make some pretty powerful adjustments in our program, together with the European Union delegation. We were relatively early in the pandemic. We were able to launch a big COVID response program that consisted of 4 program lines worth 0.1 million euros, a very quick response. So we had the online university, where we curated a digest of online courses and rewarded the participation by culture professionals, by creative industry professionals, with a small stipend, 1,500 stipends to be exact. We had infrastructure support. We had this before in our portfolio, but we propped it up considerably in light of the crisis to support cultural organizations or creative organizations struggling to pay their rent, their salaries, or organizations that were in need of buying remote working equipment. And we had a huge demand for that. We received 1,101 applications and were able to give out 35 grants to organizations all over the regions of Ukraine, all over the country. This was, in a way, the lifeline support for individuals and organizations in the culture and creative sector. In addition to that, we had digital cooperation grants, which were more about innovation. So here, EU and Ukrainian organizations could jointly develop ambitious new digital cultural formats that were given grants of up to 25,000 euros for the implementation. And I'm very happy that today, right after I speak, we will hear a case study of one of those projects that we actually supported with the digital cooperation grants with our COVID-19 response. That's the pandemic media space. Very much looking forward to their presentation. And then the fourth element in our COVID-19 response was the hackathon. You know that hata means house. And that was basically where we were sitting together with 1,400 participants and mentors, partly also from the European Union. While this hackathon was unfolding, bringing together the professionals from culture sector, from business sector, and from IT, because we felt that in the times of crisis, this is really what we need to provide, new alliances, what we need to catalyze and facilitate, new alliances. And well, to cut a 48-hour story short, at the end we had 63 teams and solutions centered around 3 previously defined challenges: transforming events, well, that was relevant for today's events as well, transforming collaboration, and transforming business models. And that was very exciting, and with a lot of lessons learned and a clash of culture in a way, in a good way, between creative people and IT people and their mindsets. But the nice thing is that after that, we could actually get back to our usual way of giving out grants, because the top 20 could apply again for 25,000 euros follow-up funding from House of Europe. And if you're wondering who's the charming lady on this Facebook banner for the hackathon, that's Aliona, who performed online at the end of the hackathon, where all those wonderful ideas were actually pitching their solutions. So this was quite a into the pandemic, and meanwhile there were some like midterm and long-term adjustments of the House of Europe program. There will be another edition of international and digital cooperation grants. We will launch another call for infrastructure support. We have developed a new format, which we call individual project grants, that are open for all the 6 sectors that we're working with, including culture and creative industries. That's basically like individual mobilities, where you travel to the EU, meet colleagues, showcase your work, learn, attend conferences and classes, but without the traveling. And this is a new format that we just had a call for, and probably will have a call in the future soon again, probably even at the beginning of the year. So stay tuned for this. Then you saw the study tours that I had on the screen, and where we also had very training, get a self-presentation training, and then actually do present those results of the lab in the end. So think of it like a mini hackathon with a small selected crowd of highly motivated participants and experts. And we are currently having and will be calling for digital labs for creative hub managers, social entrepreneurs. There will soon be coming a call for residency managers. And we may have in the future more digital labs for the film sector, for dance, for renovation, for the preservation of cultural heritage, and so on. So again, let me invite you to the Marathon of Opportunities tomorrow from 3 o'clock on in the afternoon, here in the House of Europe booth. And Europe is a program for people, and the people are flesh and blood, and that's why we are also not just presenting our opportunities, but we tell them together with project managers and alumni that have already benefited from those opportunities. And we are really excited to hear their perspective, how it felt for them to have been a House of Europe grantee or participant of an opportunity. And also now, I already mentioned it after my speech, we will have some great showcases, which again, 2 of them involve fantastic House of Europe alumni. Cooperation grant alumni and which are actually a double alumni because they're both alumni of individual mobility grants and of Creative Prize Ukraine. And then we'll have our keynote speakers, Klaus Fieseka and Andreas. Very much to that. And to conclude with, for today, we'll have a discussion about mobility in the pandemic. Of course, despite of all the adjustments, and we think that they work nicely, and that they open up new opportunities. But despite that, Europe is about intercultural learning and cooperation has something to do with personal contact. So that is actually the thing that we are in 2 minds about, because if you think of online communication, well, let's take Tinder, right? You take Tinder. So texting is nice, but then at some point, people used to think that you want to meet in person. Otherwise, you delete the match. Well, this was in pre-COVID times. Now everything has changed. If you think of letter contacts, exchange letters, maybe in the youth, some of us have had letter friends, male friends that were sitting in a country far away, And there was no clear perspective whether at any point there would be a personal meeting. So in a way, we are now in between those two models. We're asking ourselves, are we providing all those new online opportunities because we want to bridge the time, and at some point we use the time, we have great opportunities in the meantime, but at some point COVID will hopefully end, and we will all use our learnings, the new cooperation links, to actually meet in person and to realize physical cultural projects, creative startups, etc., etc. Or is it also, to an extent, a purpose in itself? Are the program lines and the opportunities and the links that come into being in the virtual world, are they good enough and they have a value in itself? And of course, I don't want to anticipate the content of the discussion, but of course, with all interesting questions, the answer is yes and no. We believe in the adjusted COVID-19 response opportunities that we offer. We believe they're great. But at the same time, we also very much hope that at some point, and hopefully soon enough, it will be possible to actually travel and to then actually combine the findings, the best of the two worlds, right? To combine all that we together with our grantees and with our partners and with the institutions involved have learned due to COVID, the new possibilities that have opened up with the good old-fashioned personal encounters that we as a people-to-people program stand for and enjoy. Thank you very much, and I'm now giving back the floor to my colleagues. Thank you very much.
So we like to say that House of Europe is about connecting people and opportunities. So what does that mean? We want to connect professionals in Ukraine with their colleagues in the European Union.
Мене звати Катерина Носко, і я співзасновниця видавництва East Publishing. Ми вже встигли взяти участь у 2 open call'ах, це грант на переклади, а також грант мобільності.
Hello, my name is Georg Stecker. We are a partner in Austria of this production. The running or the leading partner for this work is the ensemble, the company Nova Opera. And I have to be honest, myself, I'm learning. That's what this production is bringing to me, or the connection with the ensemble Nova Opera in the last 2 years. I'm learning about how much artistical excellency is underway.
Мене звуть Гаврилюк Марія, я співзасновниця проєкту Гуня Project. Ми розуміли, що в нас немає бізнес-освіти і що нам потрібна якісна оцінка професіоналів. Ну і, власне, за цим ми пішли в Creative Business Academy.
Мене звати Богдан Волинський. Ми знаходимося в ДАШ. Це дитяча архітектурна школа. Сама академія дає можливість побачити себе в глобальному контексті. Ти весь час спілкуєшся з різними людьми, з різних куточків світу, у яких є досвід. Так значно легше уявляти свій шлях.
The House of Europe is mostly an EU-funded project. There is a network of cultural organizations from the EU that are active in Ukraine. It's called OINIC. Out of this OINIC network, 4 have formed a consortium that actually takes this grant from the European Union and implements it on their behalf. This consortium is made up of the Goethe Institute, which is the lead implementer, the British Council, the Institut Français, and the Czech Center. And those 4 organizations manage the implementation of House of Europe, but they also closely work together with the other EU national cultural institutes in Ukraine. House of Europe is working with 6 sectors: culture and creative industries. That's the biggest part of the program. Second is education, media and journalism, social entrepreneurship, health. And we're working with youth and people that are working with youth. There are more than 20 program lines.
Проект «Первая выставка гаража 127» существует при поддержке Дома Европы, House of Europe и программы Creative Youth. Это наш первый грант, который мы получаем вместе с гаражом. Кроме того, это первый международный проект для гаража.
I'm Winnie Herbstein. I'm an artist. I came on as a mentor. I spoke about my reading of the work from my context and then encouraged the artists to speak about what their work meant coming from their context. A lot of the artists are making work that is political and really interesting work, and it was really exciting to see that. But as time went on and I began speaking with people and carrying on my conversations with Anton and Anastasia, I began to understand more where these artists were coming from, and that was really important for me.
We also have several dedicated program lines that target the region specifically. So one we call the pop-up hubs, and here the idea really is that this House of Europe pops up in a different place, in an already existing house of a cultural organization or a creative hub somewhere in a regional center of Ukraine. And then there is a second program line for those regions where there even is no such infrastructure. And here we are building our own infrastructure. We are building a transportable house, a mobile pavilion, by which we will be traveling through the periphery of the country and show up in places for a couple of weeks, providing a space for artists, for creative minds, for activists, for agents of change.
The House of Europe holds a special place within the European Union's support to Ukraine. Its budget exceeds 12 million euro for 4 years of activities. Its target groups are uniquely dynamic and among the most active ones: artists, creative entrepreneurs, media and healthcare professionals, teachers, young people. Together with their colleagues and fellows all over the EU, in the House of Europe, they all exchange views, share their projects, debate and help build a future that is more inclusive, more resilient and more creative.
It's about going to the people, giving people a place where they can actually meet each other, where they can encounter, and which they can inhabit with their ideas and with their fantasy.
Я Остапа не представляю. Остапа представлять до мене. Я Остапа, другого спікера, я не представляю. Доброго дня, пані і панове. Спершу дозвольте подякувати.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. First, I want to thank House of Europe for the honor to represent our project, Algorithmical Composition during pandemics of the 4th International Forum Creative Ukraine. For us, it's not just a possibility to talk about the art essence of the project, but to use this example to show the new possibilities of positioning modern Ukrainian music both in Ukraine and abroad, break stereotypes, break boundaries of the genres, limitations, and attract well-known genres of Ukrainian music, electrical, acoustic, composition, media art, and so on. What we were thinking about. Under pandemic and global isolation, that area of musical creativity faced complex challenges. The loss of close contact between musicians, creation of harmony between music and other media, and we use new media to get new materials. The composer creates not just a new product, but uses the outer world as a certain global instrument. So the idea of the project Pandemic Media Space is a creation of technological platform for composers and media artists that use it as a set of tools to create new musical products under pandemics. They work with mathematical data from global world changes, medical geolocation, turning it into a new musical information. The idea of composer for this project will be used in a certain connection algorithm app that will be used by musicians all over the world. So you can read that information in our Facebook page for Pandemic Media Space. The initiator of that project was the Association of Electronic Musicians, and we developed that with our colleagues Georgi Potopalsky, who's well known for his projects, and Anton Stuk. The other platform from the European side that we've been working with is a Polish Association of Electrical Acoustic Music that exists for a longer period of time than us, and it's well known with their fantastic project and media art. The founder of this project, Marii Kolonievsky, is extremely active in developing media project. The launching of our work looked like a diagram where we planned our work with mentors, and we have Georgi Potopalsky and Marii Kolonievsky as our mentors, and we thought for a moment how we can interpret global data that we take from the internet, data on weather, geothermal response of our planet to whatever is happening on our Earth. Any information that we can read from the Earth using mathematical algorithm. We have web platform, we have a website, Pandemic Media Space. We have 6 open lectures that can be visited by everyone. It has English translation, and we will publish it on the website. We have 14 tracks by Ukrainian composers who are Olena Ilnitska, Alisa Kobzar, Danila Pertsev, Ostap Manulyak, Ostap Kostyuk, Yuri Buka, Anton Stuk from the Ukraine side, Konrad Gensa, Michal Yenocha, Artur Lis, Petr Madi, Pavel Malinovsky, Koli Rodzinek, and Monika Szpyrka from Poland. The context of our project is the following. Apparently, it's connected with our long-term experience of interaction with electrical acoustic music, and we see its idea in our long-term relationship with modern musicians, classical music composers and players and media artists. And another context is new essences and new view or perspective on the music as such. We can talk about international experience, which started with the support of Soros Foundation in Kiev. And Ukrainian electrical acoustic music was born during independence, the first years of Ukrainian independence. Composers could go abroad and receive musical education in France and Poland, other countries where electrical acoustic music already existed, was already popular, and this genre is supported and it shares with the whole world. So we did a lot of acoustical project, the Envision project. In 2013, we had Association of Electrical Acoustic Music of Ukraine. For example, this year we continue our cooperation with Freiburg Institute of New Music in this domain. And I would like to give the floor to my colleague from Lviv, Ostap Manulyak, please. We're waiting for Ostap. So Ostap is apparently speaking, but we cannot hear him.
Ми можемо продовжувати. Я можу продовжувати. Я можу продовжувати.
Can we continue?
Власне, коли ми говоримо якраз про
Actually, when we talk
цю важливу міжнародну
about this
співпрацю,
important
низові осередки,
international cooperation,
які
this
створюють таку велику мережу,
small groups that create a network, they play a very important role in
мистецтва,
the development of musical art that drives a lot of other
і тут треба сказати, що саме якраз
art areas. And during pandemic, where our physical contacts, social contacts are limited, and travels are limited, this cooperation through internet with international audience is very important for us to go on. And I think I will give the floor to Allah. Can you hear me? Yeah. Thank you. Well, apparently we understand that international cooperation is very important part of activities of Ukrainian acoustic and electronic musicians. I would like to start to talk more about a new subject, cooperation with media artists, like music festivals. These are very close domains, so we exchange platforms and projects. For example, everyone who's a fan of electronic music remember Annex Sound, Kvitnu, the Details of Sound Festival, and these are events that we cooperate with. Art projects that we organize with Yudjifnat Fund, Ostap Kostyuk, and the new media has become a part of a new international environment, not just in terms of experimental music, but also academic music. And Yudjifnat Fund is a very famous artist here. You can see a link to his page, and please check out our joint track. It's a work by Georgy Podopalsky. It's presented on as part of the Envision joint project, or Carbit. It's a project that has outer environment that is a part of the musician's own instrument. Another example of international cooperation. Ostap, can you just step out and talk about your audiovisual composition? Yeah, actually, you can see a QR code on the screen, and you can point your smartphone on the QR code and open a link to that track, to that information. And what we have under our media space is a wider perspective on music through other areas. And in that term, cooperation with hardware, with equipment is very important, as well as collaboration and experimenting with different data, different structures. Our studio, Pandemic Media Space, had a chance to work together with Black Hole Factory, and it was our first attempt to interpret different data. You can see there is a Lviv on that diagram. So we just took sound data and transformed them into these visual object sculptures. And what we have in our Pandemic Media Space, it's a set of sound data that we turn into music, and non-music data also can be turned into music. So I would like to give the floor to Anna, and she will tell you about what kind of compositions we will have in our project. So we will start with telling you that it's a whole new perspective on music as internal satellite of mathematics. It operates with a huge mass of data, and you can trace it in Ukrainian traditional music. And one of the pioneers and founders of that genre is Leonid Grabovsky. He's a founder of Ukrainian algorithmic music. And back in the 1960s, he used to work with Institute of Cybernetics in Kiev, and he had some girls who sent him some data from random number generators, and he would create music. And in 1967, he created an ultimate track. You can listen to it online, but I would like to elaborate on it, how it was created. And this page with notation gives you some familiar intonations. These are some intonations from Ukrainian folk music, from Vinnytsia Oblast, and he used tone information from Ukrainian folk music, and he used pretty complex rhythm that he combined with folk music information. It shows you authenticity of Ukrainian music. There is very complex rhythm, and it's very individual and original. And it rather reminds you some decoding of Ukrainian folk music masterpieces. And I would like also to show you a fragment of an experimental project that was implemented using pneumatic mechanical data. You can see some patterns of gravitational information and sequences of numbers. It allowed me to develop some experimental sequences. I didn't create that structure. It was generated by the computer, and as a result, we have a composition that can be found on the SoundCloud website. If you want to check it out, if you want to check out how the air sounds using 6 instruments, you can do that. Now it's time to check the website, Pandemic Media Space. You can see the website address on the screen, and I will just tell you how composers worked with it. And besides, I will share one of the tracks with you. So let's open the Pandemic Media Space page, and we can see a couple of folders, data, lectures, and tracks. So we can work with this data. I'll give you COVID statistics as an example. Let's say we have some data on COVID from Ukraine, and you can use that graphical information as a series of numbers. The next option is the temperature changes in Ukraine, but Ukraine is not the only country that we can use. You can use the quality of air, or air pollution, and the climate data figures. So you can observe what's happening with Earth on a time scale, and you can select a certain country, France, Germany, any country, and you can use this data from any space, any place in the world. And information that Ukrainian composers Olena Ilnitska used in her track. This is the data, and it was interpreted as music. Olena Ilnitska created a track Clouds of the Sky for soprano, piano, and violin. So she used the data on the quality of air, weather data, and also the composition interpreted the data in a certain way, and this is where the name comes from. So the notation, you can use that track online together with a video, and it will be published on our Pandemic Media Space website. So I think that you already know how it looks like. You will be able to try to work with this data, to create something out of it, and you familiarize yourself with Ukrainian folk genre and also see how it can be used as a big potential. There's a huge array of musicians who work with mathematical information, who work with other alternative approaches, who position themselves on in the musical world, and that developed new types of new genres, new types of music. And I thank you, and I thank Ostap. See you on the Pandemic Media Space website. Thank you.
Щиро дякую попереднім спікерам за представлення проекту Pandemic Media Space.
We are very grateful to the
Сектор
previous
музики
speakers for presenting
переносимося в
this
сектор
project.
дизайну.
And now
З
we are
Києва та
moving
Львова
from
вирушаємо до
music to
Дніпра.
design. From
Наші
Kyiv and
наступні
Lviv,
гості
we are
це
moving to
Катерина
Dnipro, and
Дорошевська
our
та
main guest are
Аліна
Katerina
Щербина,
Doрошevska and
засновниці
Alina
платформи для
Sherbina, who are
розвитку
the founders
українських
of
брендів
platform for the development of Ukrainian brands in Dnipro.
Цьому креативному бізнесу вже насправді 4 роки.
This creative
За цей
business is
час
4 years
вдалося
old,
провести
and
більше 80
during
подій та
this time
познайомити кожного
we
п'ятого
managed
мешканця
to
Дніпра
have more than
з українськими
80
брендами.
events
Окрім
and
маркетплейсу
introduce
українських брендів
Ukrainian brands to
Good.ua,
every
це 70 партнерів,
resident of Dnipro. We have 70 partners, more than 1,000 Ukrainian designers and 500,000 of visitors. Katerina, Alina, all this is very impressive. Could you please share with our audience what was your strategy in the conditions of pandemic? What you succeed, what was not like you expected? Is it a challenge for you, or the possibility to look at your business at a different angle? The floor is yours. Good day, everyone. You can see us only on the screen, but I hope that on other side of the screen there are representatives of creative industries who really need it, because we are in Dnipro and we know for sure that it's possible to survive during pandemic. And today we will tell you how. Our presentation, please.
На самом деле, если у вас было так же, как и у нас в начале 2000, вернее, в конце 2019, это значит, что были финансовые планы.
Of 2019, you might have some financial plans. For sure, you calculated budget for the next year, planned some events, planned all the expenses and profits, and most probably you experienced some problems with your plans when they went to garbage bin, and you should move from offline to online urgently. And our case is, how did we manage to transform our super offline business into online? My name is Katerina Doрошevska and I'm Alina Sherbina. More than 4 years ago we worked on TV and we invented online. We were journalists at that time, and now on this slide you can see the result of these 4 years of work. So that time we were journalists, we lived in Kiev, we returned to Dnipro, we returned to capital, and we discussed how wonderful it is that we are living in the capital because of the number of events, and that time there was a wave of development of Ukrainian brands, and I helped Ukrainian designer Ksenia Gospodinova to develop her brand, and I was deeply immersed by this fashion sector, and also I had a TV program about successful Ukrainian entrepreneurs, and our stories were about people who moved and launched their business. And we discussed all the time how cool is what they are doing, how it's possible to do it like that. And after that, the discussions were not enough for us, and we decided to launch our own project, but not in Kiev like everyone else. We wanted to return to Dnipro and to become a slightly better and cooler project, to bring it to Dnipro, to show Ukrainian brands, and thanks to this idea, we had more than 90 markets. Market is a traditional fair, but in this traditional fair, young, creative, interesting projects take place. These are the producers of shoes, clothes, jewelry, decoration, and food. Those people who wanted to create something, those people who became the base of Ukrainian economy, those who are moving all the time, the ones who want to launch projects and businesses. During 4 years, we had more than 3,000 participants, Ukrainian brands. They were from different cities of Ukraine. Every month we had 100 participants. We became the only biggest and most regular market in Ukraine. We have our market once a month. And it was like that, except for the first month of the lockdown. We have 500,000 of visitors during this time. And we started getting questions, how you do it? How do you promote your project? What are you doing to let the participants come to you all the time? Why visitors come to you in such numbers? Because those who are doing regular exhibitions understand how difficult it is to be interesting. That's why we described 40 marketing tools that we are using. We started consulting small creative businesses how they can use these tools, and we created a creative industries agency in Dnipro. And it was our next stage, where from a market for 30 participants, we became the whole platform of creative industries. For that, we were developing our educational direction. We had about 70 lectures, and we invited entrepreneurs, experts from different spheres. We inspired young entrepreneurs to make their first step. We also created our unique course, Marketing in Creative Industries, and it helped us a lot because we moved focus from marketing to education in marketing, and we promoted this course. And also a lot of brands came to us for mentorship, and it became a new step for us and new vector of our development. During these 4 years, we were using possibilities that any creative business has at the moment. I mean grant projects, I mean international organizations supporting creative business. I mean different business and public organizations in Ukraine you can cooperate with. For instance, we got support from House of Europe for our study tour. As creative managers, we got experience in UK and in Georgia to understand how we could improve our creative business in Dnipro. We also got support from Creative Enterprise, and we became a partner of British Council Creative in the regions. In 2017, we were learning ourselves, but in 2019-2020, we are their partners already, involving other participants to bring them this experience, this knowledge. Also, we had cooperation with Digital Woman Ukraine. We created a project about female entrepreneurs. We inspired other participants how it's possible to live your own life, to have your own project, how to digitalize everything that is going on. Also, we were learning at the export promoting offices, and we had 2 tours to Estonia and other countries with Ukrainian stand. Also, we were learning in Estonian Marketing Institute. We were searching for opportunities. We were searching for grants, for education, and we applied all these knowledges in our projects. And we had more and more partners every month, and now thanks to them we can implement our new ideas. At the moment we are a kind of start platform for creative business. If someone in the region wants to create something, most probably they write me or Katya, or they send a message to the pages of our project with a message like, I am planning to make decoration. Could you please give me advice what to do? And depending on the stage of the project, we give our advices. In the same way, we are very pleased that there are brands who had their first collections 5 years ago when they had their first 30, 20, 50 dresses, and now they have the network of 10, 15 shops all over Ukraine. It's extremely nice to see how Ukrainian brands made their way from the first step to the huge network of shops. Till March 2020, that's what we were doing. But March 2020 was very unpleasant for us, the same as for the entrepreneurs, because we had a few events planned who should promote our business, our project. Because we moved to new big location, we increased the space for our market. We had just one market before lockdown. Also, we hired new staff. We launched Fashion Hub project that we wanted to open in Dnipro. We didn't. Also, we wanted to develop our export development. We just came back from Poland with new connections, and that's how that's when lockdown came to our life. We didn't know what to do. We had obligations towards our employees, our new place, because we awarded a contract. We paid down payment for a few months ahead. Everything should be bright and beautiful. Our budget was supposed to grow and develop, but lockdown stopped everything. And we should have some unpleasant measures that pushed us forward. What we did? First of all, we closed our offline showroom. We still don't have it. We moved from offline completely. Before we had offline shop, we were selling clothes B2C. We had about 40 Ukrainian designers, but unfortunately, we should close it. We wanted to make a fashion hub from this offline shop, but coronavirus stopped these plans as well. we moved into project job, and our team that was full-time was moved to another mode to be paid only for the job done. It was unpleasant, but it helped us to survive. Also, we started thinking about new opportunities. What can we do? In what way we can get funding? Which projects are stable? Which project can bring us money for sure to make our business more stable? What can we do sitting at home? Plus, we were sitting in different cities because our team went to their home cities. All of us were online, we were connected through online. We started looking for these new opportunities, and we understood that our main obstacle is digitalization. We understood we need to go to online, but we didn't know how. We had no clue because all our business was offline, exclusive, and that's when we got an idea. Surely this idea was pushed forward by the necessity to gain money. Surely we had some financial reserve for 2-3 months, and also we understood that most of creative businesses don't have financial reserve. So your typical situation is the following: you don't have money for implementation of the new project, and also you have no possibility to have some usual routine business. So it was a new reality that everyone was talking about, but no one knew what to do. And then we had a brilliant idea. We were in Instagram that time, and we decided to have our exhibition in Instagram. It was the same classical business model when we place goods and we show it to people. Every brand pays money to Instagram for advertisement, for visibility. So, what about combining all brands, 150 brands? Let's combine their small budgets and let it be the huge advertisement of the hub. What can we get if we join the effort of 150 participants? It was just a hypothesis, and we started communication. We said, dear participants, with the same as you, we are very sad and we are in despair, but we would like to try new format. Will you support us? And it took us just 9 days from idea to implementation, because we were supported by our participants, 130 participants. They registered, they bought spots, not in the exhibition, but posts in Instagram. And we had exhibition days, and everyone was at home, and we were waiting for visitors, and visitors came. We had more than 20,000 visits during 3 days of the market. We had fuck-ups as well, but that's how we transformed into digital. It was quick and cool. Instagram didn't really like it, but it gives possibility to do it. On the left, you can see how it looked like. So, female clothes, groceries, something else. We had different categories of participants. What were the outcomes? It allowed us to keep up to 30% of turnover of the company and keep floating. Also, it allowed us to retain main staff of the company. Also, it allowed us to support those participants for whom our exhibition was the only one marketplace and client attrition place. And many of them, they don't know social media, they don't use targeting, they don't have any publications in media. They are just accustomed to that they have this one channel of traffic, and profit, that's it. And that's how it was by lockdown. We moved them to online. We invited them to join us online, and they started getting some turnover. Yeah, it was small, but they could have things going. We had 3 markets like that. We had 40,000 visits and 300 participants from all over Ukraine interacted with us. Surely media was very interested in this format. Even in Belarus, there was a publication about 2 crazy Ukrainians who saved their business during lockdown. So we had a lot of interest to our platform, to everything that we do, to Ukrainian brands. Informational support during crisis times was extremely important. People from different angles are saying things like Ukrainian brands, support, you can replace, they were saying that you can replace Chinese or German goods with Ukrainian ones. And we had the results. PR was working. And we could keep the things floating. The main insight that we got during coronavirus, corona crisis, is that now we need to work 5 times more to be at the same positions that where we were before lockdown. That's why we started thinking actively about new directions. We really wanted to keep our budget, to retain our staff, because we understood that Ukrainian brands should have some marketplace, and the main marketplace for micro entrepreneurs was exhibition like ours. That's why we started developing new direction, and we went to education. We started making profits on this direction. How we did that? We launched a few courses. The formats were very different, starting from traditional Zoom course, marketing in creative industry, and finishing with Instagram course, where entrepreneurs bought access to account where there were some publications, books, some kind of educational posts. Also, we had a lot of publications about anti-crisis PR for creative brands. We had about 6 presentations on this one in first few months, because it was very interesting for the audience. We could see the perspective in online education, and we can see that micro business has a need in it. They want to learn, they want to find some new solutions how to make money. It was our first direction, but not the only one. At the same time, the big business decided to support Ukrainian brands, and thanks to that, we could implement a huge project together with Interpipe company. It is a steel factory. It became the customer of print design and making of the clothes for 2 events. First one is the Day of Steel Worker. Every steel worker got a T-shirt, and also Interpipe had marathon, and this T-shirt of Ukrainian brands was an award for participation in this marathon. So Ukrainian brands were developing designs, their ideas, and also we had a competition for the making of these T-shirts. At the same time, Municipal Council proposed us to help Ukrainian brands and to make a design for school uniform. Yeah, we don't have uniform in schools, but still children are going into schools, they should wear something. And after that, Municipal Council had a kind of auction of the designs of Ukrainian brands. It gave us informational support, the possibility to participate in tenders, the possibility to make these these clothes for Ukrainian school children. And the third direction, grants and educational opportunities. During the first few months of lockdown, we got a lot of new opportunities. Strategic sessions for creative enterprise graduates. We are graduates and local partners of creative enterprise. We also got anti-crisis grant from House of Europe, and we bought legal consultations for this money, the ones that we use for the new project. And also we applied, and it was confirmed recently that we will get institutional support from UCF. It became a huge leap forward for us because it allowed us to keep the schedule of our events in the conditions of lockdown. When we were looking for opportunities, when we were working on new ideas, thinking about what else we can do after Instamarket. We had 3 Instamarkets, but we couldn't do it all the time. It was just a kind of anti-crisis solution. So we started thinking about some sustainable marketplace for Ukrainian brands. So our idea was the following. We wanted it to become a kind of new Amazon, new Rosetka. We have 3,000 designers, and any of them could register there to open their own account, to download goods, and people will come. But when we started studying technological processes, we understood how difficult it is. There were a lot of nuances there. It was much more expensive than we imagined. Not even development of marketplace, but involvement of the clients when you have many participants, when you have many brands at the same time. And it's very difficult to attract attention to every brand. It's very difficult to compete with such giants as Allo or Rosetka, but we really wanted it. So we started analyzing market. We started thinking about does Ukrainian market really need it? Who are our competitors who work in this area? We calculated the budget. We understood that it's extremely expensive. We don't have these investments. We started looking for partners. But where we could find a partner covering part of the budget, the ones who could invest, help, support, we started negotiations. They were long and extensive with entrepreneurs, with IT community, with grant organizations, and all negotiations helped us to understand that it will be purely our project. We shouldn't involve any external investments from entrepreneurs from some other sectors. And we understood that we start launching some small project, because marketplace sounds huge. We need a lot of knowledge, a lot of IT specific. But we understand that we don't have enough connections, money, knowledge. So we decided to transform this idea into something more simple and quick, something that we could reformat quickly. And at the same time to keep on being sustainable business without investing $1 million. But still, we had investments into this idea. We decided to have an online shop of Ukrainian brands in 2 stages. The first stage was testing of all online processes in what way we can attract people to digital marketing, because we were not sure that offline tools will help us online. We wanted to have more experience. And on this stage, we decided to work with ready partners, drop shippers, the one who had business already, the one who had system. And they could supply goods, they could send the goods from our online. So our partner was doing transportation. The first stage was focused on the testing, but then we want to go to the practical implementation of marketplace idea. We will select Ukrainian brands that are not presented in a big volume, and we will help them to build processes in their business in such a way so they could scale it up, so they could create their own dropshipping programs. We will help them to build CRM system, to explain them what kind of photos do they need, how to prepare information for the partners, how to look for these partners. We want to build our own project, and after that to do a kind of micro project for every Ukrainian brand, so they could develop and get the flow of profits, clients, and new opportunities for growth.
To sum it up and understand what we've got here, how we can transform our project, we identify 5 procedures. Our first one is anti-vulnerability. So it's about, despite all the crisis, it cannot break our business. It can change our business, but not destroy it. It makes us flexible, liquid. We use challenges to develop. Number 2, radar 360. It means that we look in 360. We look at every possibility. We are looking at what else we can do. Number 3, mission and vision. If your company doesn't have a mission, vision, what to do, it's very hard to transform your business. We have a mission. We want to promote Ukrainian brands. We want to make business starting procedure easy. This is why we can create markets today, because it develops entrepreneurship. We can create education project because it gives knowledge. We can act as clients or contractors, middleman between Ukrainian enterprises. We need to hunt for challenges. We do not run from problems. We run after them, because it's not just problems, it's possibilities. And the last thing is startup strategies. We act as startuppers, and we act as if there are no obstacles and everything is possible. We continue to do that. We continue to believe that we're going to succeed. And the key question that we ask ourselves under any circumstance: what if we do something differently, like no one ever did before? And this normally leads us to a new project and keeps us afloat during a crisis time. So do not just work a lot, work with your brain. You can scan our QR code, add us as friends, and if you have questions on creative business, we can answer them all in private conversation, and we will switch our panel. Thank you for staying with us.
Дякую Катерині та Аліні за те,
Thank you,
що
Katerina
поділилися
and
своєю
Alina, for
надихаючою
sharing your
історією.
inspiring
Бажаю, щоб
story.
пандемія для вашого бізнесу дійсно таки стало можливістю для чогось нового та інноваційного. Власне, інновації є важливою складовою 2020 року. Наші наступні спікери представлять проект, визнаний найінноваційнішим в Центральній Європі, саме як відповідь на умови коронакризи та закритих кордонів. Прямо зараз переносимося з України в Австрію, у Відень, із сектору фешн-дизайну та рітейлу в сектор концептуального та мультимедійного дизайну. Андреас Гьоте з медіа-апарат та Клаус Фекеса з Friendly Fire представлять проект Virtual Production Studio Vienna. Dear Andreas, dear Klaus, the floor is yours.
Present you a project.
Thank you very much. I'm Andreas Görtl, I'm the CEO of Mediaapparat, and this is Klaus.
I'm the CEO of Friendly Fire.
And together with also with other partners, we've founded the Virtual Production Studio of Vienna. Virtual production is a pretty new technology internationally. I don't know if you have seen the last Star Wars series, The Mandalorian. This was the first big international Hollywood showcase where they showed this technology to a big international audience. And maybe we show you a short video first, a few impressions of what we have achieved in the last months. Here's the video. So, let's see.
Es schaut sehr beeindruckend aus, wie leicht es scheinbar geht.
Man sieht, was alles möglich ist.
Eine der großen Revolutionen im Filmmachen.
Ein Stück Hollywood hier in Wien.
This production environment is a wonder world for every cinematographer. Cinematographers usually tend to source motivate their lighting, which means that every light source has to have a reason for the audience to understand where the light falls off. This environment here is a virtual light environment where every source, every object is real, since it is touchable, it's creatable, it's changeable, it's flexible. So a cinematographer is able to leave a lot of gear in the truck, but still keeping a lot of creativity and freedom and using the same source motivation as they would usually do.
Working with real-time interactive rendering enables us to change really everything on set directly and interactively. We can track the camera, we are able to merge both worlds, the real world and the virtual world at the same time, and everything matches from lights to reflections and parallax effects, perspective and so on. So we really can film real props and real actors in a living and breathing virtual environment.
Many people in TV and film production perceive this new technology as game-changing. But whenever games change, also rules change. And the biggest change in rule is that the whole post-production process shifts into pre-production. What we used to fix in post now shifts into pre-production and is part of the creative process of the whole team. So when we are on set and have a shoot, everything is clear, everybody knows what to do, and we can fully play our creativity.
Recently, it has become difficult to realize live events. This is the reason why we built the perfect environment to do virtual and hybrid events. We can do live presentations, we can do podium discussions, and especially live streamings. We can implement video tools from all over the world, from all different platforms. In our video, you've seen now what has happened in the last 7 months. It has been some crazy months, and I would like to tell you how we came up with the idea. As I already mentioned, I'm the CEO of a production company. We are a creative agency. We are focused on visual designs for events, big video mappings, big stage shows. So we are 95% our jobs usually come from the live event sector. This means when the corona pandemic hit Austria or hit the whole world, we lost 100% of our jobs. Actually, the year 2020 would have been the best year in our company. We're around 20 people in my company, and our outlook was, what do we do now? But the first thing I told my employees was, when we realized that this is not going to change quickly, that we are a very creative and inspired team, and that we can do a lot of different things as well, not only live events. And we all knew the video of The Mandalorian, the showcase video from the Star Wars series, and we said, okay, maybe we can try something like that here in Austria as well. At first, it was a crazy idea a bit, but soon I convinced a few other partners to join this idea. Mediaapparat, my company, then Lichtermacher, who were responsible for they had all the equipment. They're also from the event sector. They have big media servers to run such a studio. Haberger is an Austrian company. They have all their lighting and LED equipment. This was standing in their warehouses, not being used for the next few months. So, and of course, Klaus from Friendly Fire, they're specialists in designing real-time 3D environments, but he'll tell you about that later. And I convinced all those partners, let's try that. Let's build something like that in Austria, and let's see what's happening, what will happen then. And this is how we started. What are we talking about? A virtual production studio. What is the special thing about it? Here you can see the construction plan of our studio. This is now the second studio that we built. We had to rethink a little bit, and because we learned a lot in the last few months. The white thing that you can see is LED screen. Our actual setup is a half circle of LED screen with 11.5 meters in diameter. Then we have an LED ceiling as well, plus the construction that holds everything. It has a few tons, and just to mention that the equipment that is used here is worth around 2 million euros, which is of course a crazy amount of money, but this equipment usually is used on events. And so this is where was the opportunity during the COVID crisis that we use it for free in the beginning, because nobody had use for it. And this gave us the time to experiment with it, to try out new things, and to explore this technology. Here you can see the studio in action when we're standing in the center. The special thing about it is that we can, you are probably used to see LED screens on big event stages, but we are now using it for filming, for virtual events and hybrid events as well. So we're having an LED screen, and we're using a camera to film the LED screen, and therefore we can create environments that usually can't be produced in reality. And one of the important things now is that we can do hybrid and virtual events there. This is the biggest need at the moment for big corporations, but also for public clients, that they had live events in the past. It was an important marketing and communication tools for them. Now they can't use it. And they now come to our studio to produce virtual events in our studio. And we were a little bit too early in the beginning, because when we tried to advertise that during May and June, everybody was asking us if we were crazy. But in the meantime, a lot of people realized that we were not crazy, that you can really do something amazing with the studio. And this is what we'll show you in the next video. The first big event that we did there for a company in Austria, for Wüstenrot. Please, can we see the video now?
für mich war das heute ein wirklich ganz besonderer Moment. Das war so wie der allererste Event, den ich vielleicht vor zig Jahren einmal veranstaltet habe und der erfolgreich war. Das war für uns die perfekte Kombination aus Inszenierung, Technologie und menschlichem Einsatz.
Okay, this video probably gave you a short impression what you can do with virtual events there. As I said in the beginning, we were very early trying to advertise this, but now from September, October on, we now have a lot of different requests from big corporations. One big client of ours, a project I'm working now on, is for Red Bull. And the special thing here is that we have a live event transformed to a virtual event, and this transforms even to a TV show. They originally had a live event, and now they're broadcasting a big international TV show from it. This is something, as best case scenario, that can happen to a live event. But we not only can do virtual events there, the more important thing is that we can do television productions, and the most important part for the future and for the next 10 years probably is the innovation regarding film production. We'll come to that later. Being early means that we, of course, we had the equipment and the manpower, but we needed money to realize that. And luckily, we got fundings from the state Austria, that gave us funding to realize our idea in the beginning. Without that, that would have never been possible. In the meantime, this is economically, it makes sense for us. We are making money with it. It's even the case that we need to hire people now in Vienna for our company, a company that nearly went bankrupt a few months ago. As you can see here, this is our old studio setup. It was square and not rounded in the beginning. You can see an experiment here that we have with the car. And here you can see one of the special features of when filming LED screens. We have the blue sky in the background. We have plants and trees in the background. But when you look on the car itself, you see all the reflections. You nearly need no additional lighting here. Most of the lights is coming from the walls of the LED screen, and of course from the ceiling of the LED screens. As you can see in this picture perfectly, we had, I think now 3 or 4 film productions that told us that they can even do better, they can film cars in streets better in our studio than on real streets. Because if you film it on a real street, you have to block everything for days usually. And imagine on a highway where you want to film a car with 130 kilometers per hour, chasing another car on the highway, and people talking in the car to each other. This is nearly impossible in the reality because it's loud and it's windy. Plus, you need a whole highway. In our studio, we just need our studio put in the car, and that's basically it. In the next video, you see a short reference of the film productions with especially on cars, focus on cars and reflections. Please excuse us that this video is now in German, but we will translate it to English soon. Please show the video now.
das hat in unserer Produktion extrem geholfen, wahnsinnig viel Spaß gemacht, weil du ganz anders Shots kreieren kannst, mit einem ganz anderen Durchsatz, als du es normalerweise real auf der Straße machen könntest.
Die große Neuigkeit war, dass das ganze Set ausgeleuchtet wurde. Das bringt eine neue Form der Realität in diese Brückenbaufahrten, die ein großer Schritt vorwärts sind.
An important thing to mention is all shots that you can see in the video are shot in our studio. They were actually shot in the last few months. But not only lighting and reflection is an important thing here, but probably Klaus will explain it to you what the special feature of our studio is.
With pleasure, yeah. Hi, I'm Klaus and I'm the CEO of Friendly Fire. We have been in the animation and VFX industry since 2004, offering our services for film and advertising productions all over the world. A couple of years ago, we expanded our territory with software approaches that originated in the game world. We were really amazed by the real-time approaches being the major topic, of course, in games. Players simply don't want to wait until they open a next scene. A game has to work without any time losses in real time. And this was the real challenge. But real time in games always also meant that computer games have looked a little bit lower fidelity in comparison to Hollywood films, for instance. But a lot has happened throughout the last decades. Innovations such as real-time ray tracing, the calculation of light in real time, or the ever-increasing capabilities of graphic cards bring computer games to the graphic fidelity of films. And that's the really good news in this business. As a result, the rendering methods from games are becoming increasingly relevant to the film market. In order to meet the needs of the film business, we cooperate with Epic Games that provide the industry with the required solution, the magic Unreal Engine. We really love this instrument because it opens so many possibilities, and we will show you what I mean afterwards. Big productions have already taken advantage of this new way of film producing. Andreas has already mentioned The Mandalorian, but also movies like Westworld, Lion King, or Thor are good examples for this new way of film production. But what exactly are the game-changing possibilities for film productions? I'll show you some pictures now. One of the great possibilities is that you can create environments without restrictions. Real ones, non-existing ones. There's no boundaries for fantasy and creativity. You can do whatever you want. In a quality that's photorealistic. And that's the real advantage of this new system.
One important feature is when we're talking about real-time environment, so we have this LED wall, and on this LED wall we have real-time and 3D environment. We can change everything on set itself. So we can, for example, when we want to have the sunlight different, we can change this immediately, and it feels like we're in a completely different set and at a completely different time of the set.
And as we are in a 3D world, we can shift the parallax. That means the real camera on set is connected to the virtual camera. There's a camera tracking system supporting that, and it feels like real.
So if you move the camera, the background moves with it, that it looks like a real three-dimensional world. So we create a virtual world that imitates a real world scenario.
And you can see, whenever you create a set, you're very flexible when you're filming. You can change the light situation. You can have 6 hours of sunset, for instance, which is a very big advantage. You can change to daylight situation very easily. And even if you want to change the mountains, for instance, you can do that on set immediately. And in addition, with the LED walls and the LED environments, there are a couple of advantages that have to be pointed out. For the lights, as already mentioned, we can use the full light of the LED walls, of the environment. We don't need any extra light like you need in green screen. Whereas in green screen, it's more or less best guess that triggers the decision for the right light. Here you have the real light situation that you can use. For directors or photographers, directors of photography, it's really great because they have full control over their framing and they can make the creative decisions on set. It's not like green screen guessing. It is what you see is what you get. And for the actors, of course, and you see this little guy on the mountain with the helicopter in the back, they can act in the scene. It's not like in green screen where they are guessing what they are doing. Now they can interact with everything that appears on the screen. And in this case, you can even see that we integrated a helicopter that comes. We will see a video afterwards. And you see, we are completely free to create any environment we want, and we can do changes and whatever is demanded. And now we can play the video that gives you a little overview over the production process. Here you can see you can change mountains. The parallax system also works pretty well. The background looks like it's foreground, it's perfectly connected. You can even tell the helicopter when to appear or not. And this gives the actors every chance to interact. Great advantage, of course, the bright lights, the perfect reflections on everything that's on set in real.
You can even move through the set and choose the virtual location you want to film.
You can change the light, daylight from night.
Nighttime to daylight in 2 seconds.
Yeah.
Really, you would have to wait for ages.
So this new system really grants a high level of flexibility.
So when we're talking about creating virtual world, especially in the Corona or COVID situation, we can travel to places where we usually can't film. We could even film on an island in Hawaii right now, but standing here in Vienna, Austria. Or in a virtual set that could never exist. For example, a medieval village, or I don't know, a fantasy world.
This was also a TV show. Yeah, many possibilities.
Another thing that is very important that we wanted to mention is, first of all, this created a whole new business model for all of our companies that were truly hit by the COVID crisis. But one very important thing was also for getting also the funding from the state, that we want to create a creative hub here in Vienna. This studio is not only a tool for us, it's a studio for all creative people and for all filmmakers in Austria and around Austria, probably in the world, but that helps. No, it's a creative tool that should be used by everyone, and we want to. And for Vienna, this is a very important thing that we can move forward regarding filmmaking in general.
Okay. Yeah, we hope we have given you a little insight on our technology and services, and maybe even got you a little bit excited about it.
Yeah, and we're planning big things. So we even want to make a bigger studio in March, probably. And it seems that the idea that I had 7 months ago now manifests in reality, and it will stay for the next years, I think. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
We like to say that House of Europe is about connecting people and opportunities. So what does that mean? We want to connect professionals in Ukraine with their colleagues in the European Union.
Мене звати Катерина Носко, я співзасновниця видавництва East Publishing. Ми вже встигли взяти участь у 2 open call'ах, це грант на переклади, а також грант мобільності.
Hello, my name is Georg Stecker. We are a partner in Austria of this production. The running or the leading partner for this work is the ensemble, the company Nova Opera. And I have to be honest, myself, I'm learning. That's what this production is bringing to me, or the connection with the ensemble Nova Opera in the last 2 years. I'm learning about how much artistical excellency is underway.
Мене звуть Гаврилюк Марія, я співзасновниця проекту Gunya Project. Ми розуміли, що в нас немає бізнес-освіти і що нам потрібна якісна оцінка професіоналів. Ну і, власне, за цим ми пішли в Creative Business Academy.
Мене звати Богдан Волинський. Ми знаходимося в ДАШ. Це дитяча архітектурна школа. Сама академія дає можливість побачити себе в глобальному контексті. Ти весь час спілкуєшся з різними людьми, з різних куточків світу, у яких є досвід, і так значно легше уявляти свій шлях.
The House of Europe is mostly an EU-funded project. There is a network of cultural organizations from the EU that are active in Ukraine. It's called OINIC. Out of this OINIC network, 4 have formed a consortium that actually takes this grant from the European Union and implements it on their behalf. This consortium is made up of the Goethe Institute, which is the lead implementer, the British Council, the Institut Français, and the Czech Center. And those 4 organizations manage the implementation of House of Europe, but they also closely work together with the other EU national cultural institutes in Ukraine. The House of Europe is working with 6 sectors: culture and creative industries. That's the biggest part of the program. Second is education, media and journalism, social entrepreneurship, health. And we are working with youth and people that are working with youth. There are more than 20 program lines.
Я координую напрямок грантів для організацій. Наша основна грантова програма – це гранти міжнародної співпраці. Їх ціллю є підтримати ось цю міжнародну спільну діяльність в сфері культури між Україною і Європою. Україна є питомою частиною європейської культурної сцени, але доступ до цієї культурної сцени не є таким простим для українських організацій через фінансові та інші обмеження. Тому тут грантова допомога є критично важливою. З тих проєктів, які ми вже реалізували, ми бачимо, що обмін відбувається в обидва боки. Є дуже продуктивним і є дуже велика надія на те, що далі вся культурна співпраця поглиблюватиметься і розширюватиметься.
Я координую програму грантів мобільності. Це гранти, які ми надаємо для подорожей індивідуальних представників 6 різних секторів для поїздок в країни Європейського Союзу. Це можливість реалізувати ваші ідеї. Ви складаєте план поїздки, ви маєте ідею, куди ви хочете поїхати, що ви хочете зробити. Тобто ми сприяємо постійному обміну знаннями. З однієї сторони це можливість для представників наших важливих секторів чомусь навчитися в Європейському Союзі. З іншої сторони, це також можливість про себе розказати.
Я координую напрямки навчальні подорожі в сфері культури та сфері освіти, міжнародні резиденції та гранти на переклад. Навчальні подорожі – це короткостроковий формат, він розрахований на тиждень. Наша команда готує повністю програму для наших учасників, вони беруть участь в фестивалях, форумах, майстер-класах. Міжнародні резиденції – це мистецька платформа для діалогу. Діалогу між кураторами, дослідниками, арт-менеджерами. Ця програма триває місяць і в них є більше часу для заглиблення в атмосферу, пошук нових партнерів. Всі програми, які я назвала, вони різні, але між собою в них є одна спільна мета – підтримка, створення, посилення діалогу між професіоналами з України та Європейського Союзу. Тобто не тільки отримання знань, але й нетворкінг, робота зі своїми колегами та подальша співпраця.
Проект «Первая выставка. Гаража 127» существует при поддержке Дома Европы, House of Europe и программы Creative Youth. Это наш первый грант, который мы получаем вместе с гаражом. Кроме того, это первый международный проект для гаража.
I'm Winnie Herbstein. I'm an artist. I came on as a mentor. I spoke about my reading of the work from my context and then encouraged the artists to speak about what their work meant coming from their context. A lot of the artists are making work that is political and really interesting work, and it was really exciting to see that. But as time went on and I began speaking with people and carrying on my conversations with Anton and Anastasia, I began to understand more where these artists were coming from, and that was really important for me.
We also have several dedicated program lines that target the region specifically. So one we call the pop-up hubs, and here the idea really is that this House of Europe pops up in a different place, in an already existing house of a cultural organization or a creative hub somewhere in a regional center of Ukraine.
Це інформаційний координаційний стенд з невеликим коворкінгом, лаунж-зоною, книгами та періодикою, а також з інформацією, буклетами про House of Europe та інші програми Європейського Союзу. Завершується поп-ап-хаб House of Europe Festival, де регіональні креативні підприємці знайомляться зі своїми європейськими партнерами. Для обміну досвідом, думками та порадами ми активуємо нашу спільноту випускників, яка вже за рік діяльності House of Europe налічує більше 400 учасників, які репрезентують усі регіони України.
There is a second program line for those regions where there even is no such infrastructure. And here we are building our own infrastructure. We are building a mobile, transportable house, a mobile pavilion, by which we will be traveling through the periphery of the country and show up in places for a couple of weeks, providing a space for artists, for creative minds, for activists, for agents of change.
The House of Europe holds a special place within the European Union's support to Ukraine. Its budget exceeds 12 million euro for 4 years of activities. Its target groups are uniquely dynamic and among the most active ones. Artists, creative entrepreneurs, media and healthcare professionals, teachers, young people. Together with their colleagues and fellows all over the EU, in the House of Europe, they all exchange views, share their projects, debate and help build a future that is more inclusive, more resilient and more creative.
It's about going to the people, giving people a place where they can actually meet each other, where they can encounter and which they can inhabit with their ideas and with their fantasy.
Продовжуємо нашу програму дискусію на тему професійної індивідуальної мобільності.
Let's continue our discussion on the topic of professional mobility. And I'm Olga Zaporozhets. I'm responsible for the hub and for program for graduates. And I would like to introduce our guests at panel discussion. Yuri Kirushuk, who is a program manager of House of Europe, and he's responsible for individual mobility grants and grants for implementation of individual projects. Yuri, nice to see you.
Пані Оксана Саржевська-Кравченко, директорка платформи
Miss Oksana Sarjevska-Kravchenko, Platform Cultural Initiative Izolyatsiya, that is a project of iPortunus that is funded by EU program Creative Europe. Oksana, greetings to you. Maria Pogodicheva, project manager of international consulting company Civita, coordinator of exchange program for young entrepreneurs Erasmus Entrepreneur. Maria, very nice to see you. I'm very glad to be with all of you today, and I will start from individual professional mobility for creators, for representatives of creative industries, creative entrepreneurs. It's not just an important component of their professional development, but also the base, because mobility is perceived that it's something about trips, about crossing the borders, but it's not just about that. Yeah, it's about crossing the borders, but mainly, rhetorically, it's about implementation of own professional goal. Mobility is about the development of opportunities, new partners, possibility to have this partnership, something about cultural and professional environment. That's why in House of Europe are the projects that is exchange of knowledge, values, skills, and all of that brings us not just to mutual respect, new knowledges, but to new project and creation of innovation, social, creative, other opportunities. It's very important that this project of individual professional mobility will become normal practice in Ukraine. That's what I would like to see in Ukraine on the level of different creative sectors and professions. And it's very important to support it not just on the level of some selective institution, but also on the legislative level, on local institutions in the regions. Yuri, I would like to give the floor. Could you please tell us about the first wave of individual mobility grants of House of Europe, which advantages participants received when they went to different European countries like France, Germany, Slovenia, and what opportunities House of Europe offers now when all the borders are closed. And also we are very interested in how House of Europe adapted to new COVID conditions and what we can offer to the creators, art curators and creative entrepreneurs at the moment. Thank you very much, Olga, for such a nice introduction. Can you see my presentation? Yeah, you can see it. Wonderful. Greetings, everyone. I'm very glad to take part in this conference. Olga had such a nice introduction. So now I will try to show you some practical case. What is individual mobility? What for do we have it? And to share some success stories with you. The goal of the program House of Europe is to build the bridges between European Union and Ukraine, between specialists in Ukraine and European Union, to help this creative professional interchange of information. And grants of individual mobility is one of the tools helping to implement it. You know, in the logic of many programs and projects like this one, individual mobility grants of House of Europe are different because they are focused not on organizations, because
they are more frequent. These individual mobility grants are focused on specialists for individuals because these concrete individuals are change drivers in our key sector, and the lion's share of these grants is given to the specialist of culture and creative industries. It's one of our priority sectors.
Що ж, власне, є грант мобільності? Для чого це і
So, mobility grant, what is it? What you can do with it? Mobility grant is the amount of money and the specialist of creative industries can implement a project, for instance, to go to Europe with the goal of professional or creative exchange. For instance, he can go to take a part in conference or for internship, to meet the partners in European Union, to develop some new project, or to have research in some European lab or in scientific institution. On the screen you can see brief overview of the conditions of mobility grants that we give to our grant receivers, and the number of specialists, our target audience is rather wide. The goal of mobility grant is mutual information exchange. From one side, it is the motivation for Ukrainians to go to Ukraine, to Europe for best practice, and then share this experience with Ukrainian colleagues in this sector, in the community, and to become this change agent. And second, that is a possibility to share own achievements, to wide the audience in European Union. As an example, I would like to show you a few successful mobilities to let you understand what can we do with mobilities, what kind of mobilities we can do. For instance, that is Miss Valentina Zalewska. She's one of our participants of the first wave of mobility grant. She is a program coordinator of Cinema Festival in Lviv with art, and at the beginning of this year she took part in International Festival of Short Films in France and International Market of Short Films. This mutual exchange of information was beneficial for both parties. On the one hand, she could go to present her organization, and among the 3,000 delegates, she could make new connections, and after that she got 2 partnership agreements and more requests from European colleagues to come to Lviv Cinema Festival, and also it was the opportunity to know the best practices, the new trends in her sphere in European Union. That's one of the examples. What is mobility and what are the practical outcomes of it? And thanks to our grant, she succeeded. Another example, Maria Bakava. She's an artist, performance dancer, and she took part in a few workshops of performance art in Berlin, Germany. She got practical experience. She became better in her creative abilities, creative skills, but there are additional advantages as well, and before this trip she didn't pay any attention to them. Besides being an artist, you should be cultural manager of yourself, and preparation of this project, its implementation, helped her to get the experience of own project implementation. It was her first project ever, and
it succeeded thanks to these new abilities, skills, and techniques she knew during this program, management experience, I mean. And also this experience wasn't the last experience with House of Europe. After that, there was another project. Now she's sharing experience with her colleagues, and it was funded by House of Europe. Maria has audio course of contemporary dance. It is called Listen to Your Body. These were two examples of successful mobility, how they can make your mentality wider. We were able to have just one wave of mobility, and here you can see few numbers, 25 participants of mobility. They've been to 13 European countries, and they got about 47,000 euro. But due to COVID-19, we had some changes in mobility. Now we are not very mobile in general. That's why spring this year we had the following reaction and support to sector representatives. In spring, we gave 1,500 internship to the representatives of cultural and creative industries. It was a kind of immediate finance support. Regarding the procedure, we asked them to take some online courses on culture management, some other useful courses for their own development, for getting new skills in the conditions of pandemic. And after successful taking of these courses, they had the possibility to get this internship. And also we reformed it to personal project. The goal of the personal project is the same: mutual information exchange with the colleagues from European Union, and at the end result, this project should bring to transforming this person into change agent and getting some leadership skills. Here you can see a number of projects that can be implemented. This number is very wide because our participants are absolutely free in their creativity, starting from online course in European Union and finishing with some mono performance, for instance, with the participation of colleagues from European Union online, or some online masterclass with choreographers from European Union. So two specialists, one Ukrainian, one European, could have this masterclass together. As you can see, the goal is the same, but now the format is online. And in this way, we can give more opportunities to professionals from culture sector. In the future, if borders are open again, we are ready to return to mobility grants, but if not, we are ready for new formats, for brave decisions, for innovations, and we are ready to build all that. Thank you very much for your attention. Thank you very much, Yuri, for your info-packed information. It was very interesting to listen, to hear from you about these real practical cases. And I think our audience also was interested to see who are these people who went to some concrete European countries, had some partnership, and came back with specific plans and perspective. In 2018, new European agenda for culture was adopted, and professional mobility there, the same as in previous agenda, was recognized as one of the priorities. Also, it fits with iPortunus program. Oksana, could you please tell us about the history of creation of iPortunus program? I know that we can have the results in free access. I read them myself, and could you please share your plans for the future? For the representatives of music, literature, heritage, books, sectors, and what about Plan B of iPortunus? What to do with the borders closed? Good afternoon. Thank you very much for such an opportunity to tell you about iPortunus. I think everyone would agree that individual support, that's what we almost didn't have before 2018. Partially it was funded by some organizations, but speaking about the needs of sectors, we understand that there are not many opportunities of funding. Even in Creative Europe, there are sub-grants from numerous organizations. But when we looked in the individual activity, we almost couldn't see opportunities. One of the first was the program of British Council and Consortium. It was a kind of preparatory stage when there was agenda already for individual creative mobility. In 2018, tender was announced to offer a plan how this mobility can look like. And we had a practical experience how do we work with creators. And also we had very strong creators. I mean our partners, French Institute. Probably you understand yourself how strong are these organizations, how well developed is their structure and awareness. And also, we combined efforts of practical and theoretical knowledge and gave a proposal to European Union how mobility program can look like. That's exactly how iPortunus was born. Why this name? I means individual, something separate from the collective. Portunus means, regarding Portunus, there are different versions, but we have this program at the moment, and we're very proud by 2019 results. We received more than 3,000 applications. Unfortunately, we could fund just every 10th of them. 337 applicants got funding for the total amount of €621,000. There is a huge amount of money, and please take into account that it was just a pilot project. At the moment, we are on the second stage, and its development was unexpected because of COVID, because we could never imagine that. And now, when we are talking about mobility, you hear again and again that mobility is not just crossing the borders. There is a virtual mobility already. It's also the part of mobility now. Also, there is a mixed mobility that it can be combined. You can go physically, or you can transfer something into virtual part. So, talking about results, speaking about Plan B, we discussed it for a long time with our partners. What should we do with iPortunus in 2020? I can tell you that for sure we will have iPortunus in 2021. Let me share my screen now. Unfortunately, I couldn't do it, sorry. I just wanted to show you website of iPortunus. You can find this website yourself. Next year we are going to expand it, take into consideration this year competitions, and I want to support Yuri in his speech because we have a huge database there. There are practical examples of our mobility because every applicant gave us a report and we published all of them. How much money they received, how mobility grants could help them to develop new skills or new relationships or project development. We had a lot of interesting results. And Maria Bacalo also took part in iPortunus project. She is our graduate, and I'm very glad to hear the well-known names, especially if we are talking about Ukrainian creators, Ukrainian artists. And talking about Ukraine, I'm very proud of our results. We have 95 applications from Ukraine, 18 of them were supported. And in Ukraine, to be in top 10 countries who received financial support, I think it is a great achievement. But it's not just the achievement of our team. Before that, there were other projects. There was a pilot project of individual mobility in Ukraine, House of Europe program with the artistic projects.
To support mobility, and the lockdown had got full of partners who shared information, provided enough information. It led to us having a lot of orders. So we were able to finance around 250 applications. At least it was a bit less than the previous year, but at least these are the numbers that we anticipate to have. Also, we expect to receive 500,000 euros. And it's not like an astronomical sum of money, but it gives our applicants a possibility to implement their projects. And also, we will use quarantine to change our approach to mobility and use new possibility. This is why I told you about mobility being partly real, partly virtual, and preliminary information will be published on our website. And besides, last year we had visual and performance arts last year, and this year we will focus on new sectors. We will have a music sector, literature translation sector, and we also will work with architects and cultural heritage. And we also understand that cultural managers need to be involved in mobility
And all the culture managers who work in the domain of music, literature, architecture, they can apply for that support. And we're still finishing all the details. Also, we have a note on COVID when this mobility can be seized and all the precautions. Our applicants need to take, and we're talking about mobility that can last, they can start on February to November. So you can implement your mobility here. I'm sorry. Thank you. Well, I guess that's it. Oksana, thank you. It was really interesting to hear about your approach to Opportunus program, this real versus virtual mobility, also the blended mobility format, and it was very interesting to hear that from the perspective of Opportunus. It will be really interesting to learn about results. I'm giving the floor to Maria, and she's a representative of a business structure, Erasmus for young entrepreneurs. It was well known last year, but it was not many people understood who can be potential applicants and how you can apply. And then in the early 2020, I saw an advertising on Facebook where like some concert program was supported by Erasmus program, and then COVID started. So Maria, please tell us more about Erasmus for Young Entrepreneurs, how you started, how you, what did you do after the pandemic started, and how you responded to that, and what are the ways out, what are the ways to apply for the program, and do you have any success stories to share? Yeah. Hello, everyone. I will tell you about the program Erasmus for Young Entrepreneurs, and it's a program of exchanging experience among entrepreneurs. So you can learn more about that program. It's a program that gives possibilities for entrepreneurs to share their experience, those who have less than 3 years experience and those who are seasoned entrepreneurs. So if you have an entrepreneur who is starting his company, you can coach this entrepreneur and work side by side with him, sharing your experience in your area. For new businesses, they really benefit from getting more experience, like hands-on experience, and it gives good possibilities for them to get back to Ukraine and start their own projects. Also, we give the possibility to new entrepreneurs to get financial support, and it depends on the country where you're going. Seasoned entrepreneurs and experienced specialists can apply as well, and they can accept younger entrepreneurs. And you can get a fresh new perspective on your business. Because for workers of the creative industries, it's very important. Besides, you can get contacts, the possibility to work, to start your business in Europe, and start a project together. You can apply as a new entrepreneur if you open a business recently, if you open your own business, you can apply, or you have an idea, or maybe a business plan, and you can go to different country for a period of time of 1 to 6 months. Experienced entrepreneurs need to have experience of managing a company, having 3 years of managerial experience, and who are ready to share their experience to younger colleagues. And to apply, you need to have a CV or business plan. And if you do, you can contact facilitators, and there are 5 of them. These are our partners who are also part of the consortium. So we can find more information about that on the Erasmus website. We can help you. We make you part of the system, and we help you. Your partner will use the EU IT system, or you can search a partner on your own. You can use your network as well. Maybe you know someone, some well-known artist from France, and we will help you to have him registered in the system. So you have an agreement, you write a contract, and the EU have to approve it. We get a visa for you, and we provide a training for you, like a kick-off training, and it can last for a couple of months. It's a bit more simple for younger entrepreneurs. Just let us know, and we will lead you through the process. We will find you an experienced entrepreneur. We'll sign a contract, and after that, you can host as many entrepreneurs as you want. During the lockdown, we also implemented our project, and it showed how many people really want to participate. And we need to make sure that the program goes on. We need to make sure that it complies to all the standards of pandemic and requirements. So getting visa takes time. Besides, the program involves remote exchange, 1 to 3 months, without any financial support. And it can be a start of a physical exchange. So you just work remotely, and if conditions allow, you can conduct a physical visit, which can take up to 1 year. If you are stuck in the country during lockdown, you can continue the exchange. Maybe you will work from different locations, but we will support you financially for the first 6 months. Or if you want to, you can get back to Ukraine, and we will support you financially.
Можна буде його відновити.
Чи
люди їдуть? Люди дійсно їдуть. Буквально вчора мені писала
дівчинка. You can pause your experience and later you can renew that.
Дівчинка зараз в Австрії, а я хочу навести приклади.
Well, I will give you some examples, some success stories in the cultural domain. I really like to talk about Victoria Gosling. She has her publishing house in Berlin, and she had experience, 5-year experience. She started participating in the program. And together with younger entrepreneurs, with people of art, writers, she developed her business, she published her books, she wrote about the strategy, and she's very proud of her work. Or there's another example, more recent one, an example of how it happens during pandemic. How people benefit from it, like Cristina Siciliani. She wants to start a business in a domain of translation and e-learning. She was able to create a video, and she's using it for her project because she's an actress. And she received some good experience how to start her own business. So we are looking for win-win situations. So if you're interested, the easiest way for you is to send us a message, an email, and we will lead you through the registration process. Great. Thanks a lot. It was extremely interesting to learn about such a possibility for creative entrepreneurs. And after listening for these presentations, I realized that this support process for creative industry workers, it started recently. And I agree with our guests that we just supported some specific projects. But possibilities for creative industry workers, we got it recently. Like that Nord program of support for entrepreneurs. We had cultural bridges. Now we see we have more and more of such programs. And apparently it inspires our individual entrepreneurs working in creative industries to create their own businesses. And maybe they were not all ready for that. And I know there are examples where architects or designers, they think about starting a legal business when they have to apply for a certain program. So, is there a requirement for your program to have a legally licensed business, or you can apply on behalf of some organization? Oksana? That's an interesting question. Very relevant one. Maybe I will say on behalf of all organizations providing grants, and when individual artists receive grants, there's a whole lot of painful procedure Because we also need to know a lot of information about taxation, about tax legislation. And we need to make sure that we know who applied for a grant. It's an individual person, because the rate will be different. Because in that case, we need to have a taxation agent. Because some organizations provide grants for physical persons. There are a couple of options. We can provide grants to individual persons, entrepreneurs, and there are different aspects of tax legislation. We can provide grants to organizations, and these organizations provide support. Like there's a House of Europe festival. It's a very relevant question. When we worked with Opportunus, we could see the difference of legislation, tax legislation in different countries. And Ukraine is currently on the first stage of bringing its taxation legislation in order. So we needed to come up with a system of providing advice to different countries. It's one of the most important issues for us. We need to advocate it, we need to provide support, advice to organizations and how to deal with these issues. Well, I
розмову і ділилися
support
цим
here.
досвідом, і ті самі виклики і в вас, і в нас. Ну,
Same
у нас
challenges here.
трошки інші, які ми
We have a
пройшли,
different
тому
way of
гранти
dealing
ми
with things.
надаємо лише тим митцям, які
We only
безпосередньо
provide
надаємо
grants
грант ті, які мають статус
directly
фізичної
to
особи
those
підприємця,
who
або
are
тих,
private
які є
interpreters
фізичними
or
особами. Тоді
who are
потрібно мати партнерську
physical
організацію, яка в
persons,
такому
but
разі
they need to
виступає
have a
як
partnership
партнер
organization.
грантоотримувач. Тобто тоді вони
And
подають
these
заявку в
organizations
парі
receive grants,
із
so they need to
організацією.
provide an
Це є
application
правда і для
as a single
мобільностей.
entity.
Ми так робили з мобільностями, і
And we
так
did the
само
same thing with
робимо
mobilities,
із персональними
and we do it with
Це
personal
теж з однієї
grants.
сторони допомагає виховувати
So on one side, it
лідера
helps
самій тій людині,
bring up
оскільки вони
leaders,
беруть ініціативу, разом з тим підключають
because these people
організацію
take
до
initiative.
діяльності, і з того, в принципі, виграють більше
And
людей. Ну, але, звісно,
more
є
people benefit from
і
it.
складнощі.
And of course, there are other challenges related to that.
Erasmus for Young Entrepreneurs.
The
На жаль,
program
поки що ми можемо надавати гранти лише фізичним особам, як
Iran-
фізичним особам, тобто
Erasmus,
фізична особа-підприємець не підходить.
we cannot provide grants to physical persons.
Ми сплачуємо 19,5% податку.
And we need to pay 19% tax.
Я при нагоді хочу теж порекомендувати глядачам і
Actually, I would like to
нашого
recommend
ефіру,
our viewers
зазирнути на YouTube канал House of Europe.
to go to the House of Europe YouTube channel. We did a video with our colleagues for those representatives of creative sector who don't have a registered
індивідуальні в House of Europe для
business.
На YouTube каналі House of Europe є відео.
So on our YouTube channel, we have a video on how to register an individual business.
Хоча тут, мені здається, цікаво, що саме Erasmus для молодих підприємців
And it's
фінансує
interesting that Erasmus for young entrepreneurs they finance physical persons. But these are just details. And I just wanted to ask another last question. It will be interesting in the context of our discussion. I just wanted to find out what you think about it. I'm talking about supporting Ukrainian creative entrepreneurs so that they can use mobilities and they can implement their plans in EU countries. So how important for you is hosting entrepreneurs from EU? We always, talking about outbound visits, visiting Netherlands. And what about Ukraine? Do we have anything to share? Can we host people here, people from EU countries, just like they host Ukrainian interpreters for exchanging experience, if this is relevant nowadays, given the situation? Oksana?
Говорячи про мобільність,
вона не може існувати as far as mobility is concerned,
ми не можемо говорити про те, що ми можемо підтримати
we cannot say that we can support only Ukrainians who want to visit EU countries and raise their awareness on some issues and improve their relations with their colleagues. Ukraine is a very popular country. If you take a look at
за популярністю, коли приїжджали до України програмою British Council
index, where the British Council program was in effect.
Ізоляція навіть двох митців з Лондону тоді приймала у себе, і в нас дуже гарні стосунки.
We hosted two interpreters from London. We had good relations with them. So these are bridges we built.
Так, в Україну також приїжджали митці для того, щоб працювати з
We had artists coming to Ukraine who like to work with Ukrainian context. Also, we had minimum 2 directors who shot movies about Ukraine. It's a very good indicator for us. And I'm a director of an institution that has been working in the creative industry for the last 10 years. And this visits where European entrepreneurs come to Ukraine to work with our context. It makes us see our country from a different perspective. When I worked back in Donetsk, they helped locals to be interested in their own history. And when we worked in this town of Solidar, we had the same situation. We brought foreign guests physically, and we still have it in plans. We work with them in virtual projects. We had an emergence project where we work with cultural heritage. And it's a good indicator of the fact that Ukraine can involve international partners, and this is what we need right now.
Для креативних підприємців також надає, як я розумію, таку можливість, щоб і до України також приїжджали.
And it's a good possibility where international partners can come to Ukraine and help Ukrainian entrepreneurs develop their business. Maria, am I right? Absolutely. I absolutely agree that it's great to have interpreters coming to Ukraine, even when they are less experienced, but they have a different perspective, they have a different mindset, and they help Ukrainian people of art change their mindset, change their perspective on what they're doing, and also learn how to present it and attract more people so they can, more people can learn about their products. I'll just add that more information about House of Europe and House of Europe has possibilities based on which EU members can visit Ukraine. But right now these visits can be performed to EU countries, and it opens more possibilities for creative industries. It can include presentations of some developments in European Union countries. So it's a good possibility to share what we have in Ukraine for European audience. Oksana wanted to add something. We still have 3 minutes. And I'm giving the floor to Oksana, then we'll just sum it up for a minute. Thank you. I will be short. There's a possibility that I would like to see as part of the mobility project. We had a program of a summer camp for kids, and it's our future audience. For me as a director of this institute, it's a good possibility because they are these youngsters, they are future entrepreneurs. And mobility that was provided to kids during that summer camp. We could meet people from other countries. This is what needs to be done on a long-term basis, so that opportunists and creative entrepreneurship programs can use it. And when we taught kids and shared experience with them, later on it will help them to get grants easier for mobility, because we are really teaching them how to do that. I absolutely agree that the earlier we start teaching creative entrepreneurs, so that they understand that mobility is not some special benefits, basic need in order to get a different perspective on your context, on your environment. And just to sum it up, I want to thank our guests. We had Yuri Koryshok, Oksana Sarzhevska-Kravchenko, Director of the Isolation Organization, and Marina Puhalicheva, a Program Manager of International Consulting Company and a head of Erasmus for Young Entrepreneurs. Thank you very much. We covered a lot of interesting topics, and we out of time, and we'll probably say goodbye, and you're all invited to our next stream, and thank you very much, and see you soon.
We like to say that House of Europe is about connecting people and opportunities. So what does that mean? We want to connect professionals in Ukraine with their colleagues in the European Union.
Мене звати Катерина Носко, і я співзасновниця видавництва East Publishing. Ми вже встигли взяти участь у 2 open call'ах, це грант на переклади, а також грант мобільності.
Hello, my name is Georg Stecker. We are a partner in Austria of this production. The running or the leading partner for this work is the ensemble, the company Nova Opera. And I have to be honest, myself, I'm learning. That's what this production is bringing to me, or the connection with the ensemble Nova Opera in the last 2 years. I'm learning about how much artistical excellency is underway.
Мене звуть Гаврилюк Марія, я співзасновниця проєкту Гуня Project. Ми розуміли, що в нас немає бізнес-освіти і що нам потрібна якісна оцінка професіоналів. Ну і, власне, за цим ми пішли в Creative Business Academy.
Мене звати Богдан Волинський. Ми знаходимося в ДАШ. Це дитяча архітектурна школа. Сама академія дає можливість побачити себе в глобальному контексті. Ти весь час спілкуєшся з різними людьми, з різних куточків світу, у яких є досвід. Так значно легше уявляти свій шлях.
The House of Europe is mostly an EU-funded project. There is a network of cultural organizations from the EU that are active in Ukraine. It's called OINIC. Out of this OINIC network, 4 have formed a consortium that actually takes this grant from the European Union and implements it on their behalf. This consortium is made up of the Goethe Institute, which is the lead implementer, the British Council, the Institut Français and the Czech Center. And those 4 organizations manage the implementation of House of Europe, but they also closely work together with the other EU national cultural institutes in Ukraine. House of Europe is working with 6 sectors: culture and creative industries. That's the biggest part of the program. Second is education, media and journalism, social entrepreneurship, health. And we're working with youth and people that are working with youth. There are more than 20 program lines.
Проект «Первая выставка гаража 127» существует при поддержке Дома Европы, House of Europe, и программы Creative Youth. Это наш первый грант, который мы получаем вместе с гаражом. Кроме того, это первый международный проект для гаража.
I'm Winnie Herbstein. I'm an artist. I came on as a mentor. I spoke about my reading of the work from my context and then encouraged the artists to speak about what their work meant coming from their context. A lot of the artists are making work that is political and really interesting work, and it was really exciting to see that. But as time went on and I began speaking with people and carrying on my conversations with Anton and Anastasia, I began to understand more where these artists were coming from, and that was really important for me.
We also have several dedicated program lines that target the region specifically. So one we call the pop-up hubs, and here the idea really is that this House of Europe pops up in a different place, in an already existing house of a cultural organization or a creative hub somewhere in a regional center of Ukraine. And then there is a second program line for those regions where there even is no such infrastructure. And here we are building our own infrastructure. We are building a mobile, transportable house, a mobile pavilion, by which we will be traveling through the periphery of the country and show up in places for a couple of weeks, providing a space for artists, for creative minds, for activists, for agents of change.
The House of Europe holds a special place within the European Union's support to Ukraine. Its budget exceeds 12 million euro for 4 years of activities. Its target groups are uniquely dynamic and among the most active ones: artists, creative entrepreneurs, media and healthcare professionals, teachers, young people. Together with their colleagues and fellows all over the EU, in the House of Europe, they all exchange views, share their projects, debate and help build a future that is more inclusive, more resilient and more creative.
It's about going to the people, giving people a place where they can actually meet each other, where they can encounter, and which they can inhabit with their ideas and with their fantasy.